Oh hey Geeks and Gamers, it has been a while since I have brought you a new video! God, that was terrible. Never do that again. Jesse K got it. In case you don't know why, I was in St. Louis refereeing fencing for 10 days, but I'm back! I'm back with stuff to say. Specifically, I want to start out by recounting a recent conversation I had with someone, or tried to have with somebody, and then I want to talk a little bit about this fandom war that's going on, and some thoughts and suggestions I have for it. So first of all, this conversation I was attempting to have a civil conversation with somebody who liked The Last Jedi, even though I didn't, and I found that this was quite impossible. And I've read, I don't know if some of you guys, there was this whole essay somebody wrote about, you know, like the toxic fandom of Star Wars, the possessiveness of Star Wars fans and whatnot, and I tried to get through as much of that as I could, and what I discovered is that what happens when you try to talk to people who like The Last Jedi is they invent the arguments that you have for not liking it, and shut those arguments down, and then find ways to dismiss or not listen to any of your valid criticisms. Which is this weird, like, logical fallacy that they get in. I mean, it's really, basically, you create a logical loop whereby you can never be wrong, right? And if you create a logical loop in which you can never be wrong and never be proven wrong, your logic fails, essentially. Your logic completely fails. If it can't be challenged, if it can't be tested, then it's not logic, basically. It's not reasoning anymore. It's pseudo-logic, and it's just based on feeling and nonsense. Which I discovered, talking to this person, coming at multiple angles. Every time I made a point that he didn't agree with, his counter was semantics. Literally, actually, not even kidding you. Every time I brought up a point that he didn't like and that he didn't have a real counter to, his response was, oh, that's just semantics. Like, do you know what semantics are, right? In case you don't, semantics would be the actual words you choose to use to describe or define something, right? A semantic argument. So essentially, when you're arguing semantics, you're saying the same thing, you're just squabbling over how to say it, or how it should be said, right? Not our conversation whatsoever. Our conversation was me having issues with basic things that didn't work or didn't function or didn't flow, and his response was semantics. He was trying to use semantics to mean, well, that doesn't really make sense, but I don't care about that because that's not a thing that's important to me. And that's really what it comes down to. The things that are important to you, that you didn't like the movie because those things were important to you, those things aren't important to me, therefore they did not detract from my enjoyment of the film. The things that you didn't like, I think are petty and stupid, therefore you are wrong and I am right, and the end. You can't, and that's why you can't have a conversation with these people. That's why you can't have an actual logical debate with these people, because that's what they do. They just tell you that the things you didn't like are wrong, that you're wrong for not liking them. And yet, their whole argument is based on the fact that they do like it, they do enjoy it. And it's, by the way, like always, with this guy, with everybody I've talked to, the mental gymnastics people have to do to justify the script. Like, well, if you really think about it, this means that and that and that and that and that and that. I'm like, these are all layers of meaning you put on here. You attach those layers of meaning. Those are not anywhere. Show me where they are in the film. You have decided that's what they meant because you are going through this massive amount of cognitive dissonance whereby you can't accept that Rian Johnson made a horrible Star Wars movie. Therefore, you have to find these insane ways of justifying it. That's what's happening here. And the thing with people with cognitive dissonance is you can't actually reason with them. It's like people who live in New York City who aren't filthy rich, by the way, in case you didn't know. They're all full of cognitive dissonance. You talk to them, they're like, New York is the best, I love it, it's the best city ever. Why do they do that? Because they've given up so much to be there and live there. They don't enjoy it. They can enjoy it. They don't have the money to enjoy it. But goddamn, if they're going to admit that they're miserable, because that's the whole thing, because admitting that they're miserable and they hate it would mean that they're doing all of this, they're going through all of this suffering for no reason. So they have to love New York more than anything else in the world. Try it. Like, talk to New Yorkers. It's hilarious. Talk to any New Yorker who's not, like, filthy rich. You'll get the same thing. I love New York so much! Oh yeah, what do you do? Nothing! I'm too poor! It's amazing. You're dealing with the same thing when it comes to Star Wars fans who like The Last Jedi. These are people who are, and in some cases, yes, they're real fans, they're organic, you know, it's not all just SJWs jumping on the bandwagon because now identity politics. There are real fans, and this is just the way they're dealing with it. Rather than the rest of us who go, this is not Star Wars, I'm out, right? Who suffer in different ways. This is their way of suffering through it, right? So you can have a little bit of sympathy for these people because they're trying so damn hard. I mean, they're putting themselves through all of this twisting and turning, and that's why they lash out and act like crazy people and act rude and mean and insulting and put us down, right? Because we can sit down and have endless amounts of discussions about what exactly is wrong with The Last Jedi. Technically, creatively, from a filmic level, from a character development level, from a Star Wars level, any angle you want, we can do that because we have real thought out criticisms. They cannot do that. That's why they're gonna act crazy like this. Now, so like I was saying, moving forwards, right? They're spinning the narrative, and this is a thing people who are suffering from cognitive dissonance do. They mirror, they try to put it all on us. Oh, you're the ones who are feeling this way, and you're the ones who are doing this, and you're the ones who are doing those things, when really they're the ones doing those things, all right? So when you engage with these kinds of people, the very, very important thing is we're starting to learn, is we're starting to discover, the thing we don't want to do is become them. All right? We cannot become these people because then we lose. If we just become the camp of people that say, well, we're right and you're wrong and fuck you, we're no better than they are. All right? So that's my whole way forward, and you can see this in the way I debate with people on Twitter, right? Be the bigger person. Be the better person. Have the sound argument. Have the logical reasoning. Speak politely and civilly with respect, because, by the way, another thing with the cognitive dissonance, they cannot keep that up. The second you challenge them in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable, they're going to lash out. They're going to name call. They're going to say shitty things to you, and then it's easy. Screenshot that shit, done. Boom. Right? The second you lose your cool, though, the second you slip up and say something, they're all over that shit. And then you lose, and then we lose, because we're working, right? We're working an uphill battle here. We already have the characterization of being the toxic fans and the assholes and the racists and misogynists and man babies and all that, right? So we're working against the stereotype. You have to be better than them. This is how real change happens, by the way. This is the thing that SJWs do not get, is you actually have to be better than everyone else, act better than everyone else, and suffer more than everyone else in order to get the change you want. So that's us right now, guys. We're going to be the ones making the real change. We have to be the ones walking the walk. We cannot be petty. We cannot engage in their level of bullshit. We cannot name call. We cannot mudsling. We cannot act like children like they are. We are right, and we are the better, bigger people. If you ever watch two people argue, or any group of people argue, right? It doesn't matter how right you are, and this is like the classic SJW thing. It doesn't matter how right they are, you know, how justified they are in certain situations. And when the SJW movement started, they were latching onto some solidly okay arguments and conflicts, right? The problem is, you stop being right the second you become an asshole. Right? Nobody's right when they're acting like an asshole, when they're acting like an animal and a stupid fucking moron. Sorry, my super articulate language here today. You cannot be right when you're being a jerk. That's just the nature of it. So be the better person. Be the bigger person. Kill them with kindness, because, by the way, they fucking hate that. Have you ever tried to be really, really nice and understanding to somebody who loves The Last Jedi and be like, look, I understand what you're going through to try to justify this and make yourself be okay with this? They get so mad. It's so funny. It's so easy to flip them out. That's the thing. We know this. SJWs and people who aren't SJWs but are just stupidly sensitive about The Last Jedi, right? It is so easy to flip them out. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be nasty. You don't have to engage with them on their level. Just button push, watch them explode. And that's what we need to be doing, guys. So I hope you're all with me on this message. When you get engaged on Twitter, when you get engaged wherever else you get engaged with people, etc., when you make videos, when you talk about this, when you comment on this stuff, right? Be the bigger person, be the better person, be the person with the sound argument, with the good logic, who can have a conversation, because trust yourself to do it, by the way. Trust yourself to keep it up. If they challenge you, have the answer. You do, you have it, you know it, right? This stuff is real for us. This stuff is fact-based and reality for us, right? You have the answer to the next question. They don't. Trust that. Trust that about yourself. Trust that you don't have to get, blown out. And from who are these people and what do they mean to us anyway, right? If they make fun of you or call you names, why does it shouldn't bother you? It shouldn't flip you out. It shouldn't make you want to retaliate and lash out, because these people are nobody. They're stupid, sad nobodies trying to justify a shitty movie to make themselves feel better, right? So feel bad for them and be better than them, because you are. We're all better than them. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. I got more ideas list swirling, and if you have thoughts, if you have things that you want to hear me talk about in Geeks and Gamers, things that obviously Jeremy is not, worldly and cultured enough to know about, because he basically still lives in Alabama even though it's Florida, you let me know and I will gladly touch on them. But until then, I'm Jesse Milestone. I'm gonna find a good outro dance eventually. If you want to see more of me, by the way, go to Mindless Entertainment, and that's it. No outro dance, because I can't dance. The end.